Feminists are mentally ill. That's not really breaking news, but the evidence just constantly seems to pile on. Here's an article. Feminist at Salon.com has insane meltdown over the most innocent of compliments. Here's the actual article titled, "I'm a thurver, not your sex toy. Some advice to the next dude who wants to comment on my looks. How dare you have a sex drive?" Well, basically what happens is the girl's bartending, and according to the feminist, she says, "Recently, a young man walked into the bar where I was working, sat down, and told me that I was pretty. It just flew out of his mouth by accident. He'd obviously had a few drinks. His vibe wasn't slimy or aggressive. He just seemed excited to discover that a woman he found attractive would be opening his next beer. But I wasn't thankful. I just felt instantly beleaguered in a very familiar way. I was disgusted." Of course, this poor, naive, idiot guy who decided to compliment a feminist made the cardinal sin of, well, complimenting a feminist. You're not supposed to compliment feminists. Number one, they don't want to be complimented. And number two, why would you compliment a feminist? 90% of them are fat and or ugly. Now, I can't find any images of the Salon author, but there's a good chance she's not a fucking 9 out of 10 on the fucking sexiness scale. And before you accuse me of objectifying women, hey, male models exist. Magic Mike exists. They even made a fucking sequel where women flock to the theaters to salivate at the sight of half-naked, shredded men. You do not compliment a feminist, and the fact is that this is what I call the ugly feminist paradox. The ugly feminist paradox is that if you're a feminist, and because you tend to be ugly, you're only going to get hit on by low-value males. Brad Pitt is not going to go hit on a feminist. Kanye West is not going to go hit on some feminist who's fat and ugly. Kanye West is dating Kim Kardashian. Brad Pitt is dating Angelina Jolie. Men of high value are not interested in dating fat, ugly fucking feminists. And so part of my theory, called the fat, ugly feminist paradox, or the ugly feminist paradox, is that one of the primary reasons that feminists are always whining about how evil catcalling is, how evil it is when a man compliments them on the street, the biggest reason that they're angry is because the only men who would ever hit on an ugly feminist are low-value men. Men that these women, these feminists, hate. Because feminists, even though they claim to not want men, they always fantasize about dating the high school jock. They always fantasize about a 50 Shades of Grey-esque man asserting himself with just uber masculinity and seducing her to a night of vigorous, rough, sweaty, just BDSM sex. So when a fat ugly feminist who never got to date the guy she always fantasized about is getting hit on by these low value men who can't even assert themselves and can't even say, "I think you're pretty," with little to no social awkwardness, they're just repulsed at a deep level and they will reject you. The cardinal sin, never compliment a fucking feminist. Well, this poor naive fuck then decided that he was going to try to apologize to her by giving her a $10 tip. And the feminist in her article writes, yes, this person had spent his time out, arriving at the conclusion that $10 whole was enough to compensate me for feeling exposed, trapped, degraded, and simultaneously invisible and on display at my own dumb job. I felt like a human sigh. "Just leave, please," I said, and then he left. Feeling exposed, trapped, degraded, and simultaneously invisible. Calling a woman pretty makes this feminist feel exposed, trapped, degraded, and simultaneously invisible. However, the cherry on top of this story is what the feminist says at the end. She goes, "I totally understand that it's difficult to know when it is an appropriate time to give women sexual attention. The modern woman is baffling." And she says it ultimately comes down to context and intuition on whether or not it's the right time to compliment a girl. You know, I don't know if feminists are just so detached from the modern dating game that they don't understand what it's like to be a man who has to go out there and seduce women. Or maybe they know what it's like, but this whole shaming men for complimenting women and having a healthy masculine sex drive, maybe they just do it because they hate men, because the men that they fantasize about aren't drilling them every night with their penises. But the truth is that there's such a thing as playing hard to get. Playing hard to get has existed probably throughout human history. It's a well-known social phenomenon. A corollary of playing hard to get is something called the friend zone. Everybody's heard about the friend zone. It's a worldwide phenomenon. Even a popular YouTuber, Vsauce, with like 5 million subscribers, had a whole video dedicated to the science of the friend zone, which is basically the idea that if you're too kind to a girl, if you're too timid, if you're not asserting your masculinity enough, her vagina dries up and she friend zones your ass, eternally trapping you in a state of celibacy. But playing hard to get really debunks this feminist stupid reaction, because, you know, if some women, a lot of women, play this game, they might find a guy attractive, but they purposely play hard to get in order to test the man. They pretend to be uninterested in him to see if he is courageous and ballsy enough to continue to assert himself and try to chase her in spite of her feigned resistance, her fake resistance, i.e. playing hard to get. So, you know, in a world where women are going to give you mixed signals, where even this woman herself basically admits that women, the modern woman, is baffling. No shit. How are you going to suggest that this guy is so evil? How are you going to even begin to suggest how a guy should go about complimenting a woman he likes? When number one, feminists like you are going to make him feel like he just committed a fucking rape. And number two, there are countless women out there who are literally playing hard to get, who are deliberately pretending to not be interested in a guy, even though she is interested, just to test him. So when you balance these two forces, it's a fucking minefield. Don't let these crazy feminists get to you. The truth is that this is not the center of the universe, and as long as you just avoid, don't compliment a fat, ugly feminist. Good chance that the author of this article is a fat, ugly feminist, okay? She may not be fat, but she might be ugly. Odds are she's not a supermodel. Feminine, self-loving women with high self-esteem love masculine men doing their best to attract a female. They don't take it personal.
Gentlemen, I'm Chris, founder of DollarBeardClub.com. What is the Dollar Beard Club? Well, you sure as hell won't be receiving any fucking razors from us to demolish your manhood. I eat shaving cream for breakfast. Instead, for only $1 a month, you'll receive the most legendary beard oil known to mankind. Finding the time to go out and buy your monthly beard supplies is just too tough. I get it. You have a beard. You're probably busy doing stuff like riding your motorcycle. You're swimming in a box full of women. But if you cherish your beard and you want to keep it healthy, feeling smooth, and smelling like the beard of Zeus, then you're gonna need some oil in that hedge. Every month, straight to your door, you'll receive a fine selection of beard oils, waxes, balms, shampoos, and everything else you'd ever need to keep your beard looking godly. Good job, boys. Just keep on growing your beard, and we'll take care of the rest. Be a man and sign up with Dollar Beard Club.